Hello, everyone. I am FatmaA Farrag, and I'll be presenting the virtuality of intelligent cities, the road to hybridizing our new cities. It's a research study done by in a course by Dr. Farrag during my master's in Korean University. And without further ado, this is the research review and presentation, sorry. So first of all, a quick introduction of like the spike rise of the popularity of the metaverse notion in terms of virtual reality and smart or intelligent cities over and over again. We must admit that we live in a very fast-paced visual world, and our post-modern world can now be considered radically decentered and thoroughly desegmented, especially through IoT, information technology, and the rise of increasingly intelligent cities and communities we inhabit. This is why this study aimed to investigate the virtual nature of intelligent cities and how to really capitalize on them. Through the study, this research paper delves deeper into what types of virtual technologies could be implemented on a large scale in a city to create a more intelligent, sustainable city, while using the CCA, Circular City Actions Framework, to assess both the international case studies discussed as well as the proposed plans for the local case study, which is going to be the new administrative capital in Egypt. For how this study was conducted, the methodology of the study is divided into two large portions: literature review and the data gathering and analysis. And it's divided into phases. And the first phase is the theoretical background, where main concepts like virtual city, intelligent city are defined, and the virtual aspects of intelligent cities are also pinpointed. And then there's the assessment framework, which is the circular city actions assessment framework that is going to be defined, and since it's going to be implemented throughout the coming stages. And there's the existing virtual methods. Three are going to be discussed, which these are virtual ways that utilize technology and cloud-based intel to maximize cities' efficiency. And then there's the local case study data, which is data collected based on governmental articles, proposed plans, and published papers written about the new administrative capital in the past 5 years, which was, by the way, a limitation of the study because it's still not a functioning city. It's still a work in progress, and all the data is hypothetical or based on plans that I gathered from either governmental actions or published papers written about it. And then there's the implementation or discussion phase, which is extracting lessons from previous case studies, providing some recommendations and implementing them on top of what the new administrative capital already has as virtual tech. And taking it even a step further with, again, the CCA framework incorporated and applied there to assess its value. Now, for the theoretical background part, we're going to understand the virtual city and the virtuality of intelligent cities. There's a lot of misleading connotations in literature, especially as a virtual city being fundamentally and profoundly unspatial. The virtual city can be considered a mirror that shows the hidden and intangible transactions, communications, services, and information flow that make up the reality of the physical city that we physically inhabit. We might even consider it as the alter ego to our existing cities, showcasing hidden layers as well as the various conjunctions and overlaps of the various flows. This virtual city is built on building blocks, which are bits and bytes of information. And since this is their nature, they're constantly in flux. And this new intangible urbanism is always in flux, and it's always developing and transforming. As for the intelligent city, it's one that capitalizes on ICT and IoT to connect the different aspects of the city together to provide most efficient and fast services, plus solve any problems that may arise. The two major driving forces that sustains this paradigm shift towards these intelligent cities are the fast rise of knowledge and innovation of the creative economy and the faster spread of the internet and sprawling cyberspace that intertwines again with the physicality of our world. This depends on both the physical existing city and its ICT-based virtual counterpart, where it learns from the past, sustains the knowledge economy in developed countries, and applies it to future scenarios. to like help to facilitate this rapid urbanization we're dealing with. Also, the urban cognitive processes of gathering, digesting, and building upon these streams of information from the urban context is also a huge part of what an intelligent city is all about. As for the assessment framework, the Circular City Actions, it was developed by ICLAR and the MAVA Foundation and Ellen MacArthur Foundation, where they refined their assessments and guidelines to create a combined framework. There are 5 strategies here, which is rethink, which is about laying foundation for circular activities that enable the shift to becoming a circular economy through redesigning the system. Regenerate, the core strategy that relies heavily on harmonizing nature by embracing infrastructure, production systems, and sourcing that allows natural ecosystems to thrive. Reduce, which is the strategy based on doing more with less, and that's envisioned to be done through designing infrastructure, processes, and products that would minimize material usage, water and energy consumption, and waste generation from production to the end user consumption phase. Reuse, the 4th main strategy, aims to use longer and more often by extending and intensifying use of existing resources, products, space, and infrastructure. And recover, which is where they aim to make waste a matter of history through maximizing the recovery of resources to the end of the use phase and introducing them once more into the production processes. There are so the virtual cities that make these cities more intelligent. Well, there are countless ways of these types of technology, and here are 3 types based on different scales. And for the micro scale, I'll be talking about sharing economy. And it's an economic model defined as peer-to-peer based, but what makes this type of economy quite vibrant and fast-paced is that it's short-term and utilizes idle assets and services provided by or to facilitate collaboration. And in the CCA, it checks reuse and recover. As for the semi-macro scale, the smart parking system is an IoT-based digital-based transportation system and is operated through deploying a convenient amount of sensors along the road networks. These record, digest, process, and monitor data to create real-time traffic occupancy data for the area we're heading to. And this utilizes it focuses on the reduce strategy. As for the macro scale, there's the virtual power plant, which connects sources of energy and materials directly with the consumer and managing them remotely. The pioneering BPP-based city is in Adelaide, South Australia, where they utilize batteries and BPP to manage their infrastructure and power flow needs. And it takes rethink, regenerate, and reduce the CCA. As for the data collection part, related to my local case study, it's the NAC, the new administrative capital, the newest and largest city being built in Egypt right now. And it's divided into 3 phases. It's pretty large. It consists of 20 residential districts and can house up to 6.5 million residents, as well as an international airport, a governmental district, commercial areas, public gardens, and large street networks for different modes of transportation. According to the Egyptian government's proposed plans, the NAC is meant to become a connected city that is reliable, high speed, and efficient, as well as the digital city. It also aims to be connected based on, and it's built on the unified information data sharing base, where all aspects of the city communicate efficiently from stakeholders to machines and buildings. Now, for the proposed, for the new administrative capital's proposed virtual methods that they already have in their plans, there's this on micro scale, there's the smart urban furniture, which is intelligent connected urban furniture that documents user needs and actions through sensors. And this checks the reduce and reuse in the CCA. As for the semi-macro scale, the digitizing Egypt public service idea is where they digitize all types of public services provided by the government, which leads to redundancy of physical public service, public space for buildings, as services will rely on the cloud in different sectors to integrate with database. And this checks the rethink and reduce in the CCA. As for the macro scale, the smart infrastructure is designed in a way that conserves water efficiency, recycles organic waste, and focuses on, and it also incorporates Honeywell City Suite technologies in their infrastructure, especially within the new Capital Egypt City Operations Center and the new Capital Egypt Integrated Command and Control Center. This would achieve an interconnected city powered by high-speed internet, open data, and 4G tech that would be primarily primarily powered by solar power, given it's a desert city. And it checks the rethink, regenerate, and reduce strategies in the CCA. And then as for the implementation and discussion, we're going to combine like on the different scales, like the two, what this NAC already has, and one of the virtual methods that was previously discussed. And for that, for the first one on micro scale, there's the smart urban furniture and the sharing economy, where it regulates traffic, where the smart furniture system regulates traffic and monitors the city's mobility. The major issue with sharing economy is the lack of monitoring and governance, thus making it relatively unsafe for public use. But if we juxtapose these virtual methods onto the NEC plans, it would result in this inherently intelligent, interconnected city that aims to be and identifies and proposes virtual intelligence solutions in its design to reach its goal. Therefore, it's considered, it checks the reuse, the reduce, and the recovered strategies in the CCA, where this online marketplace of underutilized resources can be reused safely and create a new type of economy that is less money-based and more asset-based. And it would reduce the need for new products and services since they will be recovered through the virtual marketplace and showcase. As for the semi-macro scale, incorporating the smart parking systems through the digitized nationwide public service, this would then create another type of service provided there, and it would be provided through these government portals where they could be monitored for street violations and greatly save time, reduce energy and emissions wasted while finding the parking spot. Since it will be connected to the NEC street sensors, which links to the governmentally monitored and linked to a mobile app, this modification would be adding linking for the reduce strategy. As for the macro scale, adding the VPP to the NEC smart infrastructure, though proposed infrastructure seems to have certain environmental goals, this could be taken a step further through the implementation of VPPs, eliminating the structural and power costs associated with building an entirely new physical power plant. And then this energy resource flow would be redirected from the source to the grid and operated remotely, making the process more efficient and transparent. The government would easily monitor and govern where the energy comes from, who uses it, when, and how. Therefore, adhering to the reuse strategy setup should also not be much of an issue, as the digital infrastructure it requires should already be in place, given the NEC's design to be an interconnected city equipped with high-speed internet, open data, and GSM for 4G technologies. Another important factor of this proposal is that citizens would be able to reuse any excess energy by storing it in batteries, which in a sense could also be considered a recovery strategy. With the VPP added to the existing proposal of the infrastructure, this covers all 5 strategies of the CCA framework. Now, to conclude all of this, by applying the CCA framework throughout the different stages of the different scales from what was gathered, analyzed, and discussed, it can be concluded that the new administrative capital has a strong base for being an intelligent city. However, it needs to implement more IoT and cloud-based virtual strategies to reach intelligence. These 3 propositions are just the gateway to many more virtual strategies that could be weaved into the new city, where the addition of intelligent and smart cities-based policies that truly cater to these new technologies and would protect all stakeholders from any fraudulent activities that might arise from incorporating such new tech onto the city scale would definitely be a breakthrough. And that is all. Thank you so much for your time.